This is part 2 to what if female deku was a lich. So today, before this video starts, I will be doing a wheel spin, just like I did with the Chalicerate what if a while ago. I haven't done this since, but this will be to decide whether what the ship will be for this series. So it will either be Aizawa or Ryuku. So we'll spin the wheel and see what name it lands on right now. And the name it lands on is... Okay, the ship is Ryuku, but don't worry, all of you who wanted Aizawa to be the ship, that'll be the ship for the next series. Oh yay, okay, so here we go. Alright, so we'll pick up where we last left off, with Hawks and Mirako dragging Endeavor out of the forest after he was knocked out by Izumi and had his memory wiped. As they then take Endeavor back to his house, where he was just unconscious for the rest of the day. Now this is before Toya ran away. Toya's supposed death happened. Where we'll cut forward a couple years, I think, to where Toya's supposed death happened. And for plot convenience, Izumi was in the area at the time, so she saw the blue flames erupting. And to get through to Toya, she used the dark ball that you see right here to consume all the flames to recover Toya a lot easier. As once she recovered him, she teleports back. She uses a teleportation spell to teleport them both back to the village. As Toya wakes up and finds that all of his burns are completely healed and no scarring is left. As he would look up to find Izumi over at a table just resting. As a couple out would pass, as Izumi would wake up to find Toya looking around. As Toya asks, "Who is she?" As Izumi states that, "I am Izumi, but those of you who live outside of the village know me as the Pale Demon." With Toya being frightened by this, as Izumi calms them down, stating that she's not going to hurt him. And in fact, I've had multiple names throughout the millennia that I've been around, for the thousands of years I've been around. Heck, one of the names I had was the Killer Queen. And Toya asked, how did she get that name? As she states that it was when some people were trying to raid this village that you are in right now. And, hold on. Sorry about that. As she states, well, as there is a group of people raiding the village, I basically wiped them all out. And since I was technically the de facto leader of the village, they referred to me as the Killer Queen from that point on. But that name died out a while ago and is currently, if I remember correctly, in the historical records, they have me down as two separate people. The Pale Demon being the one that I'm referred to as nowadays, and the Killer Queen, which some still think that I'm the same person. which they are technically right. We are technically the same individual, but not at the same time. Actually, no, we are the same individual. Just forget I said, yet not at the same time. Just pretend I didn't say that. Okay, as Toya would ask more and more questions as Izumi would answer them, as Toya would ask how long has she been around for. As she would then state, she said, well, I've been around since the 10th century. She said that she's been around since 1021, so she's just over, she turns about 2,000, I think, she turns about, 2,000 years old today. As Toya would be surprised by this, asking but quirks only manifested around 2021, so how have you been alive for so long? As she would then say, you know, the stories about magic and dragons and all that. As Toya would respond with yes, as Izumi would state that it is all real. Everybody in this village is either a mythical creature or knows how to use magic. I mean, take a look at the pro hero. Hawks. Yeah. Oh, I'm going to say Hawks is a bit older in this one, so Hawks and Mirko will be older than Toya. So, as she states, take a look at the pro heroes Hawks and Mirko, with her stating that both of them are mythical creatures, and the reason that their quirks are so powerful is that they trained with me personally. I taught them every trick they know. As Toya would be surprised by this, as Toya would ask her if she could help him with a problem that he has with his quirk. As Izumi would listen in, as Toya would state that my quirk is I can produce blue flames, but sorry about that. As Toya states that his quirk is that he can create blue flames, but his body is more suited for an ice quirk. And every time he uses his quirk, he gets burns on him. He burns himself. As Izumi would think over this and state that she knows a good countermeasure to that, and says that she will teach Toya how to use ice magic. As over the next couple of years, Toya would learn from Izumi how to use ice, and he would use it in cooperation with his flames in order to become the ultimate quirk user, or the strongest person on the planet, using a combination of his quirk and magic. And then we'll fast forward a couple of years. Toya had gone through UA, but he went under a different name. He would emerge as the pro hero Dabi. As a couple of years would pass with a girl around 13, 14 years old. 11, 12 years old, as she would walk through forest. And one of you suggested this to me. I believe it was, Crow asked if Momo could use magic. And I'm going to say that just for plot convenience, and that would be interesting, She can't. Does have magic, but she doesn't know how to use it. She does have and now she still does have her quirk, but she does have some sort of magic core, but she can't really access it. As Momo would have heard about a village filled with monsters and mythical creatures, and the head of that village being the Pale Demon. As Momo would venture into the forest to try and find this Pale Demon, as she would accidentally walk through the barrier that was protecting the village and fall into it. So I'm just going to explain the barrier that Izumi put up a little bit here. The barrier she put up basically sort of works like a protection and an illusion. It creates an illusion of a large mountain with some foliage all over it, like trees and all that. But it also works as like protection, protection as well. So if somebody accidentally comes by using their quirks and accidentally hits the barrier, it won't, and accidentally gets near the village won't be destroyed by the quirk because it will be protected by the barrier. And this barrier does take a lot of energy and mana to keep up, which is why Izumi's been practicing and basically increasing her mana reserves to the point where it's basically infinite. So she can use her mana. She can keep the barrier up indefinitely. Now, as the Momo does fall into the village, she falls unconscious because she was knocked out due to her falling. Why? Because I don't know. Magic stuff. I don't know. As she would wake up and find that the pro hero Dabi and the three pro heroes Dabi, Hawks, and Mirko were there, as they would tell Izumi that she is awake, with her coming by and seeing Momo. Now, over the years, Izumi's eyes have gone to the point where she can basically see magic. So she can tell if somebody is capable of using magic or not. So somebody like Bakugo is incapable of using magic, but people like Momo or Dabi can use magic. So it's basically really dependent on their genetics. So if they were descended from people who could use magic. As Momo would be shocked to see the Pale Demon, but she didn't look as people said that she looked, because people said that she had razor sharp teeth, two large skeletal wings, and large shadowy hands that could crush somebody. As Momo would ask him a £1 million or dollar question, "Are you the Pale Demon?" As Izumi would just laugh and respond with, "Yes, I am." As Momo said that she doesn't really look like the Pale Demon that was described, as she said that is a lot of misinformation that has been spread. With Momo asking, is it true that she has a magic? As Izumi would respond with, "Yes, I do. But a lot of people get me confused with a demon, when in actuality I am a lich. I've been around for about 2,000 years, as she would walk up to Momo and say, "And you, I can sense that you can use magic, but you don't know how to use it or access it." As Momo would respond with, how do you know this?" As Izumi would take one finger and point to her eye and state, "These eyes never tell a lie." As Momo would be surprised by this, as Izumi would then state that the pro hero over here, Dabi, also knows how to use magic as well, which is why he can use ice and fire. His quirk is that he could use blue flames. It's just that the ice part of his quirk was magic. As Mirko and Hawks would be standing in the corners of the room, and Momo would see this, and as she would ask, "What about Mirko and Hawks?" As Izumi would then state that Hawks and Mirko are both yokai. They were born and raised in this village, and they were personally taught by me in combat. As Momo would ask her if she could teach her, with Izumi responding with yes. So anytime Momo had free time, she would be studying on and using her quirk, but she would also go to the village and train on how to use magic with Izumi. With her learning some spells that were mainly combat orientated, so like how to use lightning and fire and all that. But the most difficult one, which Momo has yet to master, is this little black dark orb spell that Izumi has, which I'm gonna call Total Eclipse Black Hole. That's the name of the spell. With Izumi, with Momo asking how can she do it so well and so with minimal effort, with it taking nearly everything Momo has, and yet she still can't produce it. With Izumi explaining it in a simple way, she says, "Picture a miniature star in your hand, and then slowly imagine that star beginning to collapse in on itself. It gets denser and denser and denser, and then until eventually it becomes a black hole. And keep that black hole at that same size and control it to where it doesn't tear you apart." With Momo thinking about this and trying it, where it does work for like a little bit, but then it just immediately blips out of existence. With Izumi being impressed by this, stating that it actually took her about 15 years for her to learn to use that normally, to get it up to that point, but she could get up to that point immediately after learning. As Momo would then state that the UA entrance exam is coming up soon, and that she's getting in via recommendation, and Momo would ask her if she could ask Izumi if she could sign up as a teacher at UA, so that she could monitor Momo's progress even when she's outside the village. As Izumi would take about 3 days to decide, as she would respond with a yes. As she would sign up for a teaching position at UA around the same time Momo would go in for the entrance exam, with Izumi getting the job as a teacher for Class 1A, and Momo gets into Class 1A. As that is where I'm going to end it off. I do hope you guys enjoyed this, and this series is probably going to be a lot longer than my other ones, because I'm going to be explaining this a lot more. Now, just to inform some of you, who didn't read the comments on people asking if she would be a anti-hero or villain, she more or less sticks to herself, or she more or less does what's best for her village, so she's more or less a neutral party in this case. So that's where I'm going to leave it off, and see you guys next time with part 3 to this.